And I'm super excited to bring this content to you. You're going to walk away with some very, very actionable tips that I hope that you will put into practice right away to improve the effectiveness of networking and getting better results and making it more enjoyable. For those of you that don't know me or Shifco, we do tons of free events. We're all about kind of sharing the love and sharing ideas. We've got 2 events this month that are must-see events. Good Must Grow. We're going to be having the founder of Good Must Grow. This is the 10-year anniversary of the Good Must Grow report, where he's analyzing whether or not consumers are buying into this idea of conscious business. So if you really want to talk to one of the leaders of the conscious business movement, Heath Shackelford with Good Must Grow, attend that event. He's one of our strategic partners. Then on January 25th, every month we do something called Lunch and Leap. It is fun. It is amazing. You will walk away with actionable tips and tricks. That is on January 25th. You're welcome to attend any of our events for free, any of our virtual events for free. And we just welcome you as part of our community. For those of you, again, that I don't know, Terry Maxwell, I have a portfolio of businesses called Share on Purpose. And Share on Purpose invests in purposeful ideas. One of my newest investments is called Izzy Beauty, and it's a sustainable beauty line of products. This is 100% recyclable. I love it. I love everything that they're doing. And so I invest in purposeful ideas. And then I also cultivate new businesses using something called the Conscious Business Growth Platform. We have 5 businesses in our portfolio, in addition to the ones that we invest in. Shifco is business number 5, which is very exciting. So that is a little bit about me, but I want to get into this topic, new way networking. I am an introvert. Most people are always surprised to hear that. And I did not like networking for the longest time. Yet networking is one of the most effective ways to grow your business. There's no doubt about it. Even when I was an introvert and I was, in so much pain going to these networking events. I remember going to the Chamber of Commerce and I was like, oh God, I have to force myself to get out of the car. Even in those days, it still was effective. Networking is effective, even when you don't like it, like in my case. So what I developed over the last decade is a new way to think about networking and a new way to approach networking. And we're going to break that down here today, starting first with why we don't enjoy networking for those of us that don't like it. Some of you may love it, but why is it not enjoyable? We're going to go through 3 networking myths. Then we're going to talk about great networking organizations, places that you can plug into. We're going to try to simplify and just talk about, in order to grow, what we're really trying to do is to grow our friends. And then we're going to go into ditch the pitch and learn how to connect on value. And then we'll end with the conscious business movement, if you're not familiar with that. So that's our lineup for today. I'd love for you to participate in and drop in the chat. Why do you think most people don't enjoy networking? And if one of our Shifco members, as things go in the chat, if you could shout them out for me, because I can't see the chat right now, I'd really appreciate that. So why do you think most people don't enjoy networking? Who's got the first thought? And somebody can just shout it out for me and help me out here.
They don't know how to be effective.
They don't know how to be effective. Perfect. Another one.
It can feel inauthentic.
Can feel inauthentic. We're going to definitely talk about that, which feels kind of slimy and gross. Other reasons why most people don't enjoy networking.
It's not in a good mood. Don't feel like it. Not in a good mood, sorry. Don't feel like it. I am a broadcaster and okay. Others are always trying to sell you.
Oh,
I feel so insecure with so many new people.
That's me.
Yes, you might feel that you need to play a part.
And we're not always sure what that part is. Love that. What else is in there, CJ?
That's it. That's it so far.
Now, some of you may like networking, so it's not a right or wrong. If you like networking, it just means it comes natural to you. if you don't like networking, it typically means it doesn't come natural to you. And that was me. I was that person at a party that held the wall up, because I wasn't very confident. I was a huge introvert. And so when I got into my corporate career and I had to quote unquote network, and then as an entrepreneur, networking is very, very important. It really was very uncomfortable because I didn't really understand it. And that's where these 3 myths come in. So there's 3 myths about networking. And the first one, somebody's already mentioned, and that's that salesy, icky thing. So the first myth is that the goal of networking is to make sales. Think about that. That person that says, oh, hi, welcome. My name is Terry Maxwell. Here's my card. Let's get together, right? Or here's my brochure, or on and on and on. Or the conversation starts with, hey, how are you doing? Where are you from? And then it basically is, I'm an insurance agent and, here's my card. So that's the reason why networking kind of has a bad rap, is that the myth, the false belief is that the goal of networking is to make sales. That is not the goal of networking at all. And I struggled with that because I didn't like that inauthentic feeling. The real networking goal is to make connections. That's the goal. And so the first tweak that we want to make is when you're doing networking, both on the attending and then the receiving of a contact in a networking arena, if they are trying to sell you, that's not a good connection. Think about it. So there's no reason at being upset about that person. Just bless and release is what I like to say, because they're trying to sell you. On your side, your goal is to make connections, to get to know people, not to sell to them, but simply to make connections. And once I recalibrated my belief that the goal of networking was to make sales, I recalibrate that and said, well, what if I just approach networking from this spirit of making connections? Ironically, my business started to grow because my connections started to grow, not because I was networking to get sales, but my business started to grow. I didn't get that because I was making connections. Bill, did you have a question?
Yeah, I would take that one step further and say not just make connections, but to develop relationships.
Yep.
One of the other networking groups that I belong to, that's exactly what our purpose is to get to know each other, develop enough of a relationship that we can not only make referrals of people that might be interested in what they do, but can actually recommend them.
Yep.
Recommend somebody unless you know them well enough to trust them.
And that's a great segue to going from connections to relationships. And it's this idea of net weaving versus networking. Because net weaving is I make the connection forms into a relationship, and then that relationship is truly where the value is. Yes. And I believe it was around 2008 that somebody introduced me to this NetWeavers organization, and it completely changed the way I thought about it. And I began to think of it as connections and relationships, not getting a sale or getting a lead. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is how do you actually net weave? How do you actually make that work in practicality? And so net weaving is a simple reciprocal approach where your focus is on helping others meet the people they need to. So a net weaver, somebody who's net weaving, would want to make a connection, not to get something, but to facilitate another connection. So I might want to meet Bill, and then I might want to introduce Bill to Ray. That's the way net weavers think versus networking. And that's super powerful. So how do you become a net weaver? Well, one, you want to connect with more people. And I want to put an asterisk to that you actually enjoy hanging out with in more ways. That's really what you're trying to do as a net weaver, is connect with more people that you enjoy hanging out with in more ways. Second is to set an intention to learn more about them, their business, their needs and challenges, and support them in finding solutions. When you do that, the underlying theme becomes reciprocity, where because I made those connections, then other people want to help me. The vast majority of my sales come from referrals, and the referrals came from not necessarily people who were my clients, but people that I helped. And that is the key. That's the reciprocity, is when you serve people and you use your connections to help others. For example, you're now in my network. Hopefully we're going to connect on LinkedIn. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn and you say, Terry, I would like to meet Ray, I will introduce you to Ray. And I'm not doing it to get anything. I'm doing it because I want to connect my network. So my intention is pure. And when you support people by making connections to others and you add value, that reciprocity kicks in. Okay, so the second thing, myth number 2, is networking takes time. A lot of people think, oh, it just takes a lot of time. Well, it does, unless you think about it differently. So what really takes time is not the networking, but it's actually in the building of relationships. If you really think about whether it's a live networking event or a virtual networking event, you're here today. This is networking. Hopefully you've got the list of all the people that are here today, and hopefully you're connecting with them on LinkedIn right now. That doesn't take very long. In fact, we're multitaskers. So hopefully, what I would be doing is I would be going down the list and start connecting to people right away on LinkedIn because I want to grow my connections. That doesn't take time. You can listen to me right now and you can do that right now. The part that takes time is building a great relationship, but that's a great investment of time. We're going to talk about how to do that even more efficiently and how to do it more effectively. But networking doesn't take time. There's an organization I'll tell you about called the Happy Neighborhood Project, and they do their networking events in 30 to 40 minutes, and you can meet 20 or 30 good contacts in 30 to 40 minutes. That part doesn't take time. What takes time is identifying the people that you actually want to build a relationship with. So that is just a little bit of a myth buster, that networking itself doesn't take time. What takes time is building great relationships. But quite honestly, your relationships as an entrepreneur are really going to be an indication of your success. So the other thing about this idea of relationships is what we need is we just need more friends. To grow our business, we need more people to be aware that we exist. The other thing that you can do is online networking. We have a free course, by the way. If you visit shiftco.org under the free training, there's a free course in there on how do you actually grow your online networks. Highly recommend it. That will help you. It's one of the most efficient ways to network. But this idea of building authentic relationships, that's where we really want to focus. And if you're going into a networking event trying to get people to buy, it's not going to work. That's not a relationship. What you really want to do is use networking to grow your friends so that more people are aware that you exist. And then as you find people that are interested, they're going to tell you those are the ones you want to build a relationship with. Now, how we introduce ourselves when we're networking really determines whether or not a person is interested in learning more. And that is one of the most important things. We're going to be working on that in just a minute. And I'm going to give you a methodology for how to introduce yourself so that more people want to connect with you. Before we do that, myth number 3, that the target market has to be there. The target market doesn't have to be there. It's nice if they are, but it's still an opportunity. So here's the thing. I used to think that I could only attend networking events if my target market was there. That, although is ideal in a perfect world, I would frequently end up where someone would invite me to an event and I'm looking around, I'm like, my target market's not here. My target market is small businesses. And I would get frustrated. And then all of a sudden I met somebody who was not in my target market, but they introduced me to the biggest client that I've ever had in the history of my 3 decades in business, from a connection that I made at a networking event where my target market was not there. So the idea is to be open when you're in a situation where your target market is not there, There's a reason why you're there, and it usually is to meet this person or this organization that could potentially lead to something really special. So what you might want to ask yourself as we're going through this next section, who do I want to meet and how can I serve them? Not how do I get more people in my funnel, but who do I actually want to meet and how can I serve them? So just hold that question in your mind as we go through this next piece. Now, I like to think of this next piece as giving a gift when I meet a connection. So my personal mission is every person that I meet and I come in contact with, I want to serve them in some meaningful way. So I want to be a gift. That meaningful way is I could just smile and raise their energy level. I could make a connection for them. I'm constantly trying to do that, as shifters know, is connect two people together or introduce somebody to an organization or get them a resource. And the way that you become a gift is by asking yourself, how can I serve whoever it is that just crossed my path today? Now, let me put that into context. There are 582 million entrepreneurs globally. 12% of the population, according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, considers themselves an entrepreneur. 12% of the global population. I believe about 10% of those are what we call conscious entrepreneurs. That's 60 million people, by the way. There are several organizations that I'll be talking about that are great networking organizations. Conscious Capitalism, highly recommend it. There's probably a chapter in the city that you're in. You should attend their events. Highly recommend it. Talk about net weaving. You are going to see that at Conscious Capitalism. They have chapters all over the world. I highly recommend it. Another one is B Lab, or what you might know as B Corp or B Local. They have also chapters around the world where you can network with other entrepreneurs. And even if your target market is not that level of entrepreneur, those folks are natural connectors and they will introduce you to others. Shiftco, same thing. We're natural connectors at Shiftco. You could reach out to anybody that's part of Shiftco and ask for a connection, and they're going to help facilitate that. So what you're looking for is not just where your target market is, but what you're looking for is people that are mutually aligned with your value system. They don't need to be in your target market per se, but what they need to be is mutually aligned with your value system so you enjoy hanging out with them. Here's a couple of examples of places you might want to consider. Some of these you might be familiar with, your college alumni groups, local chambers, B&I industry groups. All of those have been around for decades, probably longer than I've been alive. But there's also these new organizations, and new as in the last 15 years, Conscious Capitalism, Be Local, Shiftco, our luncheon leaps. There's usually 20 to 30 people at every one of those. You're going to meet and get great ideas because of how those events are facilitated. They're quick, they're easy. You walk away feeling better and you walk away with real ideas, but you're also going to meet people that are mutually aligned. Happy Neighborhood Project, highly recommend it. It's a rapid fire, community-based. They have them all over. You can attend. I could be here in Dallas and attend. I go to Hawaii's. That's my favorite Happy Neighborhood Project because that's my future home. So I attend theirs at least once a month. I'll attend the Hawaii Happy Neighborhood Project. So you can attend one in your city, or you can attend one in the city where you want to be, or you can attend them all over the place. Every day they have 4 to 5 different neighborhoods that have networking events. But again, your target market might not be there, but what will be there is natural connectors. And those natural connectors are usually in a good mood and they're happy and they're uplifting, which is why I like it so much. Another one is called Lunch Club. Highly recommend Lunch Club. Lunch Club is great if you're a little more of an introvert. Because it's an AI tool that matches you with people that have similar interests. And you basically have a 20 to 40-minute conversation over lunch with someone and see where the connections are. I've made great connections, got strategic partners from it, clients out of it. Highly recommend that as well. I'm going to go through a couple of more, but if you have ones that you like, please drop them into the chat as well. Private Directors Association. These are larger businesses, typically $1 million to $1 billion, and they're all private, meaning they're not a public company, and or people that are looking to be on the board of a private company. Probably some of the best, most sophisticated networking I've done in the B2B space. I highly recommend that. There's also the Association for Corporate Growth. It's like B&I, if you're familiar with B&I. And then two others that I recommend: the American Sustainability Business Network, if you are into sustainable products, like, you know, my new favorite, Izzy Beauty, or the Conscious Leadership Guild. So those are just a few. If you've got others that you'd like, I'd love for you to put them in the chat, or shout them out right here. Anybody else have any others that you recommend that you can shout out to us?
Yeah, I have a couple. For any women in the Dallas area, I can invite you to our Lakewood area Women in Business, and North Dallas, I think Plano Women in Business. Also, there's a new chapter in Houston. Fantastic group. All we do is we hang out, visit, drink a glass of wine, and get to know each other.
That sounds delightful.
And I'm co-hosting along with my client next month. Another one is Toastmasters International was really pivotal in my life, not just for the networking I did within our little group was secondary, but they taught me how to talk to people. You might not know this. Before I walked into Toastmasters, I would not have said a word on this call. Maybe some people think that's better. But it taught me to not be paralyzed about saying hello to strangers and learn how to make those connections. And it's cheap and they're everywhere. And you could go morning, noon, or night, weekly, monthly, you name it. There's a Toastmasters that would work for you.
Awesome. Bill, do you have a couple to recommend?
Yeah, I belong to a group meets in Plano called Richardson Plano Networkers. It meets in person as well as via Zoom every Wednesday, and also then has a mastermind session that's online only on Fridays usually. Discusses a lot of topics, but the primary purpose of that group is to develop relationships. In order to actually become a member of the networkers group, you have to have one-on-one sessions with at least 3 of the members, and then make recommendations or bring new people in order to become part of it. And it's a group that you mentioned earlier, people that you like to hang with. We like to get together just because we enjoy each other and have a lot in common, as it turns out. And we also then have a social event at least once a quarter where everybody gets together and just talks and eats.
I love it. I love it. Yep. Who else has a recommendation?
Yeah, I've got one, or it actually comes in several forms. So the Small Business Association has SCORE or sub-organizations that give webinars, that have summits in areas, and I have actually spoken and taught classes for them. And I've connected with people that I've got 10-year relationships with right now as a result of the deep connections, because these are all either people wanting to start a business or people that are trying to take their business to the next level. And yeah, that's been valuable for me. And most major cities have some sort of SBA SCORE function or series of functions.
That's awesome. Somebody else had a suggestion?
Yeah, Terry, this is Ann. If any of y'all do business with associations, there is something called ASAE, which is the Association of Association Executives, and they have a Texas chapter, they have a Dallas chapter. And so, you know, you might want to reach out to the different groups in your local community if associations is part of your target audience.
Love that. Any others?
Yes, I had another one I forgot to mention. I belong to an organization called Creative Mornings, which I just love. It's a global organization. It's all volunteer run. Everything is free. And they select a topic every month, and each chapter puts on their own event around that topic. The one coming up, and I guess this month is Sanctuary. And I was really intimidated because I thought certainly I'm not creative enough for them to let me in. And then I got there, and all of the volunteers were wearing T-shirts that say everyone is welcome. And then I started volunteering just to get the T-shirt. I love that. So that's a great one.
Yeah, and I want to give an example, because the idea of thinking your target market has to be there, as opposed to, I just like hanging out with these people. Another example, I'm going to give you 2 more examples of what I mean by that, because that was a fallacy that I bought into. My target market had to be there because I was focused on making sales, as opposed to, where are people hanging out that I enjoy hanging out with? And there's a musician executives where executives get together and they jam out. And I am a secret, wish I were a rock star kind of person. And I love music. I love singing. And so you attend these events, and they're all, amateur musicians that are executives in all these different companies and businesses. And they just jam for 2-3 hours. They just jam and they play music together. Another one, and I won't say the because it's a cuss word is in it. It's called F up nights. F up nights. So they have the whole word in there. F up nights. This one is a total. Oh my God! And they have chapters all around the world. And what happens is people come in, and they pick, I think, 5 speakers, and they basically tell what their worst F up was. They're entrepreneurs, they're executives, they're middle managers, corporate executives, you name it, a little bit. But in it, you will laugh. And what I love about F up nights, in fact, I want to get together with some of our local shifters and sponsor an F up night in this area. What I love about F up nights is the authenticity. That people are standing up there and they're saying, boy, I really messed this up. And they tell these stories. And what you walk away, in addition to laughing and meeting fun, authentic, transparent people, what you get is you get this awareness that you're not alone, that everybody makes mistakes, and stop taking yourself so seriously. So those are examples of musician executive group, and the F up nights, the full on, spelled it out. You should look up F up nights to see if they have one in your city. I highly recommend it, because it is about an hour and a half of the most fun that you're going to have. And the people that you will meet there may or may not be in your target market, but what they are is they are authentic and they want to build relationships. So that's the main point I want to drive home. We got one more thing to cover here in a minute. Is you want to network with people that you enjoy spending time with, that want to build a relationship. You see, it's not the one contact that gives you their card or takes your card that grows your business. What it is the relationships you develop. And you develop relationships by first developing connections. And you develop connections by hanging out with people that you enjoy hanging out with. Those connections then lead to relationships, and it's the relationship that ultimately leads to sales. So again, I can see lots more ideas popping in the chat of places that you can network. I definitely encourage you guys to check out F Up Nights. It will truly be one of the most fun nights you've ever had. But I also want you to think outside the box. Don't limit yourself to just thinking your target market has to be there. Go to places that you enjoy the people. Let those connections with the people you enjoy lead to relationships. Let the relationships be what grows your business. And on that, we're going to go through one more very important thing. And we're actually going to break into groups and role play this because it's so important. We call it Ditch the Pitch. We're going to do a crash course of Ditch the Pitch. We have a free training online if you want to go deeper in it, but we're going to break in 2 groups to do this. So here's how Ditch the Pitch works. Most of us were trained to give an elevator pitch, which can feel very inauthentic or canned. You know, we've got the little piece of paper and we're reading it. That does not work. It doesn't feel good, and it rarely results in authentic connections. So when I became an entrepreneur, I was very frustrated. I had a coach who was helping me with this elevator pitch and how do I introduce myself and how do I introduce my business. And it was just like, you know, running around in circles, and it never worked. And so I thought, well, you know, the heck with this. I'm just going to say something different and I was going to networking twice a week back then. I was a new entrepreneur. I'm just going to say different things every time. And I'm going to see, here was my test. I'm going to see what causes the head tilt. So the head tilt is someone goes, huh? What is that? You know, and they actually stop and listen. So I just started looking for the head tilt. And that's when I stumbled across this idea that there is a more authentic way to introduce your business. So we call that in ShiftCo a power statement. Because, and I think of it as power because not because it's powerful, but because I'm in my power, it's authentic. So this is back to that gift thing, thinking about who you are and the gift you are. Think about the value you provide. A gift is how someone would benefit from working with you. It's the value that you provide. So it's not what you do. It's not your title. It's not even the name of your business. It's not the certification that you have, but you're boiling it down to your true essence, your gift, how someone would benefit if they work with you, the value you provide. It's another way to think about value is gift plus passion. So when I introduce myself, when I'm not speaking, when I'm networking, I just say, my gift is growing businesses. I can't not do it. And I pause. And then I say, I just love helping entrepreneurs grow their brands. That's it. I don't say the portfolio. I don't say all my companies. I don't say my investment. When I'm networking, that is pretty much what you're going to hear me say. My gift is growing businesses. I can't not do it. I look at a business and I want to figure out how to grow it. I love helping entrepreneurs grow their brands. So think about that. If you were looking for somebody to help you grow your business, you'd give me the head tilt, right? You'd be like, I need to talk to her. Or if maybe your sister is looking for help growing the business, I'd get the head tilt. And they would like tune in and say, I want to get to know you. Well, here's the dynamic. Here's how this shifts everything. All of a sudden now, the people who are interested in learning more about me, they come to me and they want to know more. So, wow, that is way easier. Here's another one. The value I provide, this is from one of our members. The value I provide is teaching leaders how to inspire the performance of their teams. Not, here's my business name, not my title, not my certifications, but simply this very simple, it should be 1 to 2 sentences. You can say it in 10 seconds. And if, in fact, if you find yourself going longer than 10 seconds, you're back to the elevator pitch. We want to make this nice and tight and just be the essence of your gift, the essence of your value. So, CJ, can I put you on the spot because you nailed yours and I know you've been working on it. Can you do your power statement again? You nailed it, girl.
I was working on it.
Mama sitting over here going, oh my God, that's so good. So give us your power statement, CJ.
Yes. Well, guys, I am new to that piece. This is actually a very new one. But what I do is the value that I provide is helping founders and executives reclaim their time by simplifying their operations. And that's it.
Love it.
That's it. Yeah.
So what is it about, if you were looking for something like that, what is it about what she just said that would get your attention? What do you think?
Reclaiming time.
That's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
reclaiming time.
Well, and I love the way she said it. It's so powerful, and she was so sure of herself.
What do you think about that? Anybody else have any thoughts about it?
Well, also that she said founders and what, CJ?
Executives.
Okay. So she told us who it's for.
Yeah,
It's not for busy moms, although they could probably use something similar.
exactly.
Or
And
they're
again,
probably the same. Yeah.
the power is if I'm in her target market, you're getting a head tilt, and I'm going to lean in, and I'm going to be like, I need to get to know her, and I'm going to eventually ask for her card. Or if I know someone who needs her services, you're going to get that lean in effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to break into two groups, and we're going to take about 10 minutes. Ray, if you can help facilitate one of the rooms, and CJ, if you can help facilitate the other rooms, and try to get as many people in those 10 minutes to give their power statement. And then we're going to come back here and wrap up. So have fun, and I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. What was great about it, Ann?
Well, I shared that I help people see possibilities, and questions start coming. Oh, can you teach other people how to do that? How do you do that? And it's like, oh, well, I've never thought about that whole side of it. I just know that's something I'm able to do. So this just opens up another possibility for how to work with possibility.
I love it. I love
do
it.
too.
And so that's the idea, is you want to introduce yourself in such a way that people want to learn more. They're interested in learning more, because that is the way to go from an introduction to a connection. A connection wants to learn more, and then the connection leads to a relationship, and the relationship is what brings you more business. It's not networking that brings you more business. So that idea that I network to get business, that doesn't work. You network to meet people so that you can build a connection. Those connections, a portion of those connections lead to relationships. The relationships are what leads to business. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole lesson on Ditch the Pitch free on our website. For those of you that are not members, you can just do the free training. If you're members, the Ditch the Pitch training, we have several different versions of that in the course, so you can go into that. I highly recommend. You might have met somebody here today that you could role play with until you get it down. But as you can see, the beauty of introducing yourself with a power statement is it's authentic. And the people that want to connect with me, they are going to tell me, which takes a lot of the pressure off. I'll wrap up with a couple of tips. So one, connection is powerful. That's really what we want, is connection. Two, if you want to grow your network, or if you grow your network, you grow your business. You should see yourself as a connector. You should see yourself as a net weaver. Third is give to get. If you will just focus on how can I serve you? Can I make a connection for you? Can I give you a tip, or hey, let me introduce you to Fred, or something along those lines? Everything gets easier. And then lastly, speak only about the value you provide. That's it. And introductions, stories of impact, just speak about the value you provide. And if your power introduction is more than 10 seconds, then you're talking too much about yourself, and you've lost that gift and that value. So I'll just end with a reminder. We have two amazing events in addition to today coming up that are free. Good Must Grow. Highly recommend that you attend it. Heath Shackelford is truly one of the key influencers in the conscious business movement. His research is now a decade long, and he's going to be sharing the latest and greatest about whether or not people are buying into making the world better through business. And then, of course, Lunch and Leap. If you haven't done it, whether you're a ShiftCo member or not, you should absolutely do Lunch and Leap. You'll leave inspired. You'll leave with ideas. You'll leave with connections. It's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. It's an honor to serve you. I wake up every day thinking about how to help people grow their business. I go to sleep at night thinking about ways to help people grow their business. So thank you so much for being part of our community.